welcome back to Mancinima. Hope you're all doing very well. Today's movie is the Expendables 4, obviously the fourth in the Expendables saga. I don't think any of us were expecting Expendables 4, were we? I mean, you know, it's been a long time since Expendables 3, and I don't think anybody was crying out for a fourth entry, but, you know, here it is. And Sylvester Stallone has already stated that this will be the last in the Expendables saga, so let's see what we have ahead, shall we? The story concentrates on the Expendables. They go off to Libya. They're chasing this character called Ramet. He's played by Iko Uwais. I hope I've correctly pronounced that. And yeah, he's the villain of the piece. And his mission is he works for this mysterious character called the Ocelot, who Sylvester Stallone is Barney Ross' character, tried to capture 25 years ago but failed. Now, between them, the Ocelot and Ramet want to set off a nuclear war between Russia and the US, so they're kind of staging something in Russia and then planting something in the US in order to make it look like the US did something to start this war between the two countries. Anyway, the Expendables are sent in order to capture these nuclear devices, stop that from happening, and hopefully save the day. However, the mission does not go well. And, you know, the Expendables are kind of taking a beating. All of their vehicles are destroyed and something bad happens to them. So they come back and they're sent out again. The mission is you must capture Ocelot, you must capture Ramet, and you must put a stop to this. However, they are told not to include Lee Christmas because he has something to do with the blame of why the mission didn't go well. So he sets off on his own, he goes off to Thailand and he goes to seek out an ex-Expendable to try to bring them back into the fold in order to get everybody back together, save the Expendables and save the mission. And that's the basic plot of this movie. I don't know whether there's anything more to it than that, because as of this point I'm just giving you what I've kind of gathered off the internet. I haven't seen the movie myself yet. We're going to do that thing where I give you the plot up front and then I'm going to go off and see the movie at the cinema tonight, and then I'll come back in a day or so and I'll give you my thoughts on that movie, which is why you'll see a change of t-shirt. So I've got the Top Gun one on now. Who knows what I'll be wearing in a couple of days time when I give you my thoughts. You know, watch out on the video, you'll see it in the jump. So let's go and see Expendables 4. So yeah, let's talk about Expendables 4 then. So let's get the negatives out of the way first. This looks cheap, even from the very first beginning scene. And the set is dressed very, very minimally. I mean, there's like a couple of crates and things like that, and this guy sat outside of a shed. And it just looks like money hasn't really been spent on that opening scene. It just looks very, very barren, very bare. And you just feel the cheapness from the very beginning. And you know, initially going into this scene, this opening scene, I thought, oh, here we go, this is not going to be good. It's what I've heard it's going to be one of those kind of direct-to-DVD movies that you find on the bottom shelf in Asda, like for £3, £4, that kind of thing. They haven't spent the money on it, it's not going to be good. This is an Expendables movie too far. The next thing I didn't like was some of the special effects. I thought some of the special effects looked really ropey. They looked, again, like the kind of ones that you see. You know when you go to Asda and you pick up one of those lower level shark movies and you see the shark and it looks like an iron-on transfer. Everybody else in the film kind of looks real because they're real people shot on real film. And then you get the CGI that just looks like one of those rub-on transfers. It just looks, it sticks out and it looks horrible. There's moments in this film where the special effects kind of look like those. You know, there's no sharks in this movie, thankfully, but there is kind of ropey effects, some blood effects and things like that look like they were taken from a cheaper PlayStation game or one of those other games, you know, like Xbox or something. So the blood kind of looks very unreal. There's no practical effect with some of the blood in there, and some of the scenes in there where the blood and the carnage is involved. It looks cheap. So there's that. There's this cheapness to it from the very beginning. The other thing I'll say about the cheapness is obviously we've lost a lot of the major casts that we had in the previous movies. Obviously Bruce Willis is unwell. He was never able to do another Expendables movie. Arnold Schwarzenegger isn't in this film at all. I don't think he's mentioned. Antonio Banderas, who was in the last film, you've got his, I think it's his son or his nephew or something is taking his place. It's a very similar character. They clearly couldn't get Antonio Banderas, so they got somebody who was very much like him, very chatty, very friendly, wants to get on with the rest of the team, and the rest of the team find him an irritation. So, you know, they've gone for that kind of a level. If you can't get the main guy, you get somebody who's like him, that kind of thing. So yeah, there's a cheapness overall to this movie. There is a just a feeling that they had a budget, but they couldn't stretch it to get these other actors back in. Or maybe the other actors saw the script and they thought, you know what, we don't want to be a part of this. So yeah, so there's that from the very beginning. The plot itself, there's a little bit of an expansion on it for you. Basically, there's that guy, I think he's Ramet, is the villain. He goes to this land, I can't remember where it is, but he goes somewhere at the beginning, and he goes in and he kills the wife and the child of this guy who owns these detonators, and he wants the detonators. And you know, his plan is basically to take them and to put them on this giant boat, plant an American flag on it, send it into Russian waters and blow it up. And I think it's got massive nuclear warheads on it. So there's going to be a massive international incident which will spark a war between Russia and the US, and that's what he wants. Why he wants that is not explained. We don't know why that wants to happen. Or maybe it was explained and I didn't hear it, but it wasn't very clear within the plot. But that is basically the plot. That's what he wants to do. The Expendables are hired to obviously prevent him from doing that. And they go in at the beginning, try to get this done, and something goes drastically wrong. And they come back with their tails between their legs. Jason Statham's character is blamed for going kind of off mission. He's been given a direct order during this opening sequence. He goes off mission to do something. That goes wrong. And when the team come back, he's told that he's off the project. And for some bizarre reason, and I don't know why, but Megan Fox is suddenly made the leader of the Expendables. And that's one of the plot points I thought, what? Why? There's other people who've been in the Expendables longer. There's, you know, Dolph Lundgren's character, you got Randy Couture's character. Why she was put in the lead of the Expendables, we don't know. We don't know her history. It's not really explained why she's, you know, been elevated to this level, but she is, and then she's suddenly the leader of the Expendables. She's, you know, she's okay, but she's not the greatest actor in the world. Her performance is very stilted, very flat. And yeah, it just seems one of the bizarre choices that they make in this movie. So yeah, so there's that. As I say, they've lost some of the bigger names. They've lost Arnold Schwarzenegger, Chuck Norris. Of course, we have Mel Gibson in the last movie, so the budget has been cut on hiring the actors. Sylvester Stallone kind of appears in this extended cameo, if you like, at the beginning of the film, and then from there on out it's Jason Statham's movie. When this movie was shooting initially, I heard that the working title was A Christmas Story, because his character's called Lee Christmas, of course, and the film was supposed to have been, from what I understand, you might have to go fact check, but from what I understand, this was supposed to have been a spin-off movie for Jason Statham's character. It wasn't actually supposed to be Expendables 4, but it was supposed to be a movie about him so that he could break away from the Expendables and go and do his own thing. So he does have a moment in this movie where he does go off and do his own thing. He goes off, like I say, finds another ex-Expendable to bring them back into the cause to try and help the ones that have gone on to try to stop these terrorists from blowing this boat up. So that's your basic plot. There's like I say, there's a bit in the middle where it kind of drags a little bit, where it's a bit messy. The direction of it does feel a little bit messy overall. So that's all the negatives. Let's get all the negatives out of the way. Like I say, felt cheap. Not so many big name actors. Some of the special effects, like I say, very ropey. Not so good when they're on the screen. So that's the negatives out of the way. So let's talk about the positives. I had a good time. I had a good time watching this film. I went in with the lowest of expectations. I did hear people saying, oh, this is the worst movie of the year, this is the worst Expendables movie, worst movie of the year. The effects are bad, the story's bad, the acting's bad, everything just feels very messy. And I thought, oh, you know what, I'm not going to enjoy this, but you know what, I've paid my ticket, I'm going to sit in this seat, let it wash over me. If it's really bad, I'll come back and tell you guys it's really bad. And we can just all move on. Maybe there won't be any more Expendables movies. I think even Stallone said he didn't want any more Expendables movies, which is probably why he only puts in a glorified cameo in this movie. But you know what? I had a good time. I enjoyed it. I sat there with the lowest of expectations, and I just sat there in my seat, and despite all the cheapness, despite all the things that made me cringe, oh yeah, let me talk about things that make me cringe. There's one moment in this film which feels really out of place. Because Jason Statham is not allowed to go on the mission with the Expendables, he finds that he's running out of money, he has to go and find himself a job. So he goes and finds himself a job, and this is like a, 5-minute, probably less than that, minute segment in the middle of this film. Finds himself a job as a bodyguard to a social influencer, and the worst kind of social influencer. You know those ones who are narcissistic, just talking about themselves. It's this big guy and he's having a pool party and there's all these beautiful women around and he's treating the women like dirt. and that narks Jason Statham. Of course, Jason Statham's character comes along and, spoiler alert, kind of deals with him. You know, he sorts him out. It just felt a little bit cringeworthy, and I thought, oh, you didn't need to do that. You could have put some other scene in there. You could have, having a social influencer in this film really, yeah, it narked me. I didn't like that bit. So if I was to look at the whole film, that's the bit that kind of made me go, oh, you know, maybe this film is going to go down the toilet. However, after that, that moment's over, things pick back up, he gets back on mission, the rest of the team are on mission, and then they go off to get this boat, and the rest of the movie takes place on this boat. I really enjoyed it. There's some great fight scenes. The fight scenes are actually one of the best things in the movie. There's some stunts that are really great in this movie as well, and they're really enjoyable. You know, but some of it looks like it's taken place on a soundstage because it's got that cheap factor to it. But you've just got to put that to one side, just accept the whole silliness of it all and sit back and enjoy the ride. And I actually found it, like I said, very, very enjoyable. I had a great time at this movie. I loved the banter between Sylvester Stallone and Jason Statham at the beginning of the movie. I loved the banter between some of the other characters as well. I found there was some real laugh out loud moments in this film, despite it being, like I say, cheap looking and all this business. Yeah, unfortunately, for those who didn't like this movie, I had a good time with it. You know, it's not the greatest movie of the year. It won't be ranking in my top 10 at the end of the year. But if I had to say, what movie did you go in and sit down and have a lot of fun with and enjoy and leave with a smile on your face? Yeah, this is one of them. Expendables 4 is one of them. This feels like an Expendables movie, feels like a cheaper Expendables movie, feels like one that was made for the lower shelf direct-to-DVD market. Feels like one of the movies that you might see on Netflix, you know, something Netflix or somebody else has funded that hasn't got the budget of the big feature films, the previous feature films. But I had a lot of fun with it. It's the only thing I can tell you. I had a lot of fun. I had a great enjoyment with it. I love Sylvester Stallone anyway. You know, whatever movie he's in, I love him in it. Jason Statham is great as well, and the banter between the two was great. Like I say, lots of silly fun, lots of silly action, and yeah, I had a good time with this movie. And you're going to be surprised at my rating. I'll say, you know, if you want to go and see a silly movie, if you want to put the special effects and the cheapness and all that stuff out of your head and just sit and enjoy it, a fun action movie, go and see it at the cinema. Yeah, why not? Go and see it at the cinema. It's not going to be a waste of a ticket. I think if you can put all those things behind you, ignore the social influence a bit, just let the rest of the movie wash over you, I think you'll have a fun time. I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll come out with a smile on your face, especially if you love the characters, especially if you love the actors as well, Jason Statham, Sylvester Stallone and all that business. I think you'll have a fun time with this film. So yeah, go and see it at the cinema while it's still on. I don't know how long it's going to be on because there's been some negative reviews of it, but yeah, if you're in the mood for a silly, fun, action popcorn movie, go and see it while it's at the cinema. What would I give it out of 10? I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I know people are going to be surprised by that. They're going to say it probably doesn't deserve that. You know, they're probably going to say you deserve like a 4 or a 5 or something like that out of 10. But no, I enjoyed it, and I'm going to judge it on whether I enjoyed it or not. So yeah, I enjoyed it. So 7 out of 10 for me, and that is the Expendables 4. So coming up next week, first of all, we have got a look into what happened to the movie Beverly Hills Cop 4, because it kind of vanished off the radar. It was being made. There was lots of talk about it being in production and all that business, photographs of Eddie Murphy on set, and all of a sudden it's vanished. So I've got a special episode next week about that, and the following week we take a look at what is happening with modern horror movies, so the state of modern horror movies compared to movies that we experienced in the past. However, if you've enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Please give this video the thumbs up. I do greatly appreciate it. It really does help the channel out. If you've enjoyed this video, got loads of other videos on this channel, loads of other film reviews, loads of other location shoots, trips where I've been out to different places like Hollywood and things like that. Go and have a look through them, and please subscribe to the channel. The thumbs up button and the subscribe, all free. You don't have to pay a penny. Hit the notification bell. It lets you know when I've done another one of these videos, and let me know in the comments what you thought about Expendables 4. Maybe you did hate it. You know, that's fine. You can come and tell me what you didn't like about it, what you expected from it, and whether you had greater expectations. Maybe you're the biggest Expendables fan and this didn't quite hit it for you. But, you know, yeah, come and have a chat with me in the comments. Let's talk about it. Thank you very much for watching this video. I will see you very soon. Take care.